do this live thing. And we're live. I love this new software. Thank you, Daniela, for
You're welcome.
introducing it to me. And we're jumping on here. I'm using this new thing called StreamYard. I've always used Zoom webinar, and there's just not as many features and cool stuff for live broadcasting. So, anyways, I'm jumping on today with my good friend Daniela. She is way away from me. I mean, she lives basically in Europe over in Western Capital. And
Might as well. Might as well.
if you know anything about the Tampa Bay area, nobody usually wants to drive more than 5 minutes from their house, with the exception of me and Daniela. We usually
Right, because look at the cup. I don't know if people can see this. This is New York, so we're used to driving. But you have quite a few friends that going over the bridge is a deal breaker, is it not?
Oh yeah, well that's interesting because a lot of people in Tampa, they if they live on one side of the bridge or not, they don't want to drive across it. They're like, oh no, I'm not driving across the bridge. So, but we got to be able to break that cycle and stuff like that. I mean, I used to do it all the time. I used to live out in Riverview, Gibsonton area, and I drive over to St. Peter. That was just like a common thing for me. I didn't even think about it. But I'm from Minnesota, and where people did that kind of stuff. So today, Daniela and I are going to be talking about giving away our energy, and we're not talking about necessarily boundaries and stuff like that, which we could talk about that too, but we'll kind of flow with it. But we're talking about the current state of affairs and how we can give our energy away during some of this craziness and how we don't want to do that. And so we're just going to chat for a little bit. Daniela's been busy at work all day long. She's been very, very busy. I took a drive today getting out of the house because I was just a little stir crazy. But I think we'll just kind of kick it off. And I wanted to kind of show some images, and then I want to get Daniela's thoughts on it because I always love her thoughts on things. And usually she'll give me a different way to look at it, or we'll kind of look at it from a different perspective. But so
Hold on. Are you talking about, is that the Capricorn thing in me?
Oh yeah, maybe. I mean, it could be.
I'm sorry, I'm being silly lately.
So funny thing about Capricorns, and I'm filled with Capricorns in my life, let me tell you, is that I'll say something and I'll be like, and my friend Sherry is always like, all right, okay, you got to bring it down. You got to bring it down because you're like talking way up here, talking really fast, and then I can't, Well, with Capricorns, and it was kind of a joke because I was messing with her a little bit back in January. We were at an expo, and my friend Justin came, and literally I'm explaining something, and both of them are like, wait, what? And they have to make me like explain it. And I just died laughing because they're both Capricorns and they're both the same way. And I have to overly explain. Well, in my mind, I have
caught up in details. We like
details.
The details.
And Justin is very much in the details, and so is Tina too. So, and so I just have to, it is what it is. But it makes me think too, because it makes me think, well, how do I need to explain this? And did I miss things and that kind of stuff? So it really makes me consider that. So I just want to bring up my screen here really quick and share my screen so that I can show some images. And basically, if anybody knows who Alex Gray is, this is his sacred mirrors. These are just a few of them. But this is the energy body of who we are, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, is about giving away our energy. So this is as we're going through different stages of consciousness, as you can see, as this person starts to release and gets more centered and balanced. I call it connect, ground, and balance. They start to get into different states of consciousness, and then when they get here, they literally hit this is what's called the universal lattice mind. And this is basically the center part, the energy system with the chakra system. But there's a point where you don't actually have chakras. That drives people crazy. But you don't actually have chakras. You're basically a cylinder of light. But what I wanted to touch base on is going even further into this. This is Alex Gray's painting. As soon as it comes up here on the Cosmic Christ. So why this is important, and I'm going to back up just real quick. Why this is important is this is from the Gospels of Thomas, from Jesus. And so basically, he says when you make the two into one, and when you make the inner as the outer, and the upper as the lower, and when you make the male and the female into a single one, so that the male shall not be male and the female shall not be female, then you will enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that there's all these things that are dualities. So there is male, female, Democrat, Republican, um, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Oppositions. And so all these things that are happening are actually happening within you. And so that when he's talking about when you make the two into one and stuff like that, he's talking about bringing it into oneness. Well, cosmic Christ in here is that all these things are happening. As you can see, the Enterprise is up here in the one part of it, and then the Earth, and all these things like aliens and peace in the shuttle, and even down to grotesque things that are happening down here in the bottom part of this. So what ends up happening is like all this stuff with COVID-19 is obviously a big topic. And so as you allow yourself to pull out of yourself too much, in other words, you get angry. It's nothing, I mean, we get angry, we have emotions, but if you get angry and then your energy just gets pulled out so much that that's the only thing you think about, then what ends up happening is that you get out of balance. And so what that means about getting out of balance is this image right here is the universal lattice mind. So you'll actually, what happens is you get so pulled into the third dimensional space that you stop becoming this balanced cylinder of light. And so as I'm looking at all the things that are happening, and so it's very apparent that people are getting very much out of balance. And what happens is, Louise Hay says, congested thoughts. And so as you get to congested thoughts, then the energy system gets congested and blocked, and it doesn't flow correctly. This is in perfect flow of how you work as an energy body. And so I'll just kind of stop there and kind of hand over to get Daniela and talk to Daniela as soon as I can figure out how to stop sharing this.
I love that you're able to share this. So when we're done with this, I would like you to explain that to me. But anyway, the technical side. But I love this because you were describing it, and then you in my head I kept hearing balance.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about male, female, really simplified the other side of the coin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's our world, duality, like you were saying, and balance is key. And as we become the master of our emotions, of our thoughts, which is really monitoring of us, instead of always like, I'm pissed off at Jeremy for this, I'm pissed off at this one for that, whatever our triggers are. But if we can be in balance within ourselves, and really the problem is, why is that bothering me, right? So because really, it's like you said, it's okay to get angry. It's okay to allow I think it's healthier to allow the emotion to wash over you, like flowing, than repression. So I think that's important to just experience, but not to, what is the word? To wallow in something, to stick with it.
Yeah, to like literally just sit there and wallow in self-pity, or
Self-pity or
that you
like
are
off.
that you're a victim of something or whatever, and you're not a victim. And that's the key thing. And that's why that cosmic Christ is so important, because as it shows you that everything is within you, we think everything is out of us and it's happening to us, but it's not. It's literally this, you are the call. Everything is happening within your energy field. And so by looking outside and saying, oh, I don't know what to do, you've literally, that your energy starts to get sapped or taken away because you're giving it away. And that
you're under the misconception that you are powerless.
Yeah.
But I love in that third picture how like the world was right there, like around the heart, because I couldn't see all the little pictures that you were talking about, but that is true. Like, honestly, as we were having an earlier discussion, if you can become aware of that, like giving away your power, if I'm overly sad, if I just stay stuck in that sad mode or anger, whatever lower negative vibrational energy, right? Because if I feel overfilled with love, I'm going to stick with that. That feels good to me, right? Like, is it a heart? Who is it? Damn it. Esther, talking about the high flying disc. So when we come out of that space of feeling happy, feeling joy, feeling love, I say stick with that. If that feels good to you, but if I'm going to be upset or fearful, one, it lowers your immune system, and one negative thought tends to lead to another. If you
Mhm.
let it control you instead of controlling yourself, right? Because I need to stop myself. Like, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I was tested about 11 o'clock last night. And what I did, something that would normally trigger me, I went into meditation because it was very upsetful, the situation. And I was an observer of what was going on. But I realized as I meditated, just for a few minutes, I felt peace, but it was, this isn't about you. You're
Mhm.
witnessing something, but this isn't about you, and you need to let it play out. So I think a lot of this that's going on, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but I think we need to let the event play out and to go within and see, okay, do I feel like everything's going to be okay? Because I can't speak for others, but I know Jeremy and I have talked about this. We feel like everything, one way or another, we're going to be okay, right? Would you agree with
Mhm.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do
And
agree
I
with that.
and I think for the masses, if you stop trying to be busy, like squirrel moments, if you really stop and stop putting a band-aid on it and really look at what's going on within you, because again, it's not outside of you, it's within you, and that's how we can get through this. And I think
I
if
lo-
you invest in yourself, right, don't you think the outcome is going to be a lot better?
well, it's interesting you should say that because, like, squirrel moments. I was, I've been having to put my phone on the other side of the room when I want to meditate because I'll literally pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, and I'm like, when we really want to get deep in, you have to manage all those distractions, and even down to the meditation music. And like, I use meditation music too, but sometimes the meditation music can be a distraction, even if it's headphones on your head.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to start disciplining ourselves to actually continue to dive in. What if you get to the point where we don't have music? I mean, I don't really think that's going to happen, but what if we get to that point? I mean, most of us stream our music. What if the internet goes down for a week? What if that happens? And so how are you going to meditate? And so these are things where they're not meant to scare anybody. They're just meant to, like, you want to stick in your own world to where you can get deep in yourself without anything else assisting you, so to speak. And that's where we get kind of caught up. We depend on other things to assist us. And so it's not to say the other part of this I just want to read this really quick because I thought this was interesting. This is also part of the Gospels of Thomas, and it goes into so is the passage that I just read to you. And then it goes in Thomas's long prayer before his martyrdom. He recites his efforts to carry out his mission and says, "The inside I have made outside, and the outside inside, and thy whole fullness has been fulfilled in me." In other words, it's interesting because I had a reading, and I think actually Daniela cooperated this reading. We were sitting at a picnic table in not Dunedin, in Tarpon Springs, I think back in like 2017. She probably doesn't remember this, but my friend Monica had said to me, "You have to work on yourself before everything else is going to work out." Well, how often have we all heard that? We have to work on ourselves before whatever it is that you want is going to happen. And as you work on yourself, whatever happens might not be the same thing that you're thinking of right now. Well, what he's saying here is the inside I have made outside, and the outside inside, and thy whole fullness has been fulfilled in me. In other words, he worked on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not looking for a savior to come back and save us. We're looking for somebody to come. We have to go within ourselves and save ourselves. And
Right.
so, and the interesting part about Buddha consciousness and Christ consciousness is that takes place within us. And so we're looking for this outside source, whether it be aliens or UFOs or Jesus or some type of Messiah or the government or whatever to come and help us. And the truth is that we have to help ourselves. And we're so busy looking outside for what, or a lover or whatever. And I'm just as guilty of these things too. and we've had these things where that's the practice to get deeper within ourselves, to work on what we need within us. And when we get distracted outside of ourselves, we literally disempower ourselves.
I
So,
agree. You said so much that I should be writing stuff down because you hit on so many things I wanted to grab. um, it's true. And just one segment of it, I've noticed a difference with clients and myself, but with clients that in the past, when somebody said to me, you got to like go back to 2014 or 2012, you have to work on yourself and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't quite understand or process what they meant. Not only do, yes, I've done the work, I understand it and I love it, it's great, and I don't think anything can compare it with that. That's just my opinion, that love within of really accepting and absorbing yourself is better than whatever somebody else can give you, at least in my own personal experience. But I'm really proud that my clients that work with me have empowered themselves and have taken that advice. So it makes me wonder, is it a little bit easier for people to even understand that the last couple of years because they are following up with that?
mhm. So you're talking about like the going within or working on themselves and that
They
kind of
get
stuff.
it. They get it.
Well, yeah, because look at it's funny. It becomes a kind of a joke too, but it's where people they'll say self care, and so and really it's because we're learning to take care of ourselves
Which
instead
is
of.
vital.
It is vital. It is vital. Because how do you expect to take care of other people or have other people care about you if you're unwilling to take care of yourself? If you're unwilling to honor the things that you want to do for yourself, if you're unwilling to say yes to yourself, how can you expect to fully be love another individual? You can't, because you're going to be busy helping other people. It's interesting because I was going to fly up to see my friend Virginia up in Lexington. And I called her up the other day and I said, hey, what would you think about me flying up? I'd have to work. And she goes, honestly, she was truthful with me. Right now, I'm so deep into myself. And right now, I love you, but I just don't feel it. And some people would take that offensively. And I didn't, because she and I have such a strong bond that I got it. I was like, right now, she's deep within herself and she just can't see. And I've been there before. Daniela's been there before. She was, where I don't even answer the phone necessarily
Yeah.
during those time frames. And it's because I have to, dig deep within myself, and I can't necessarily give people the attention that they need. And so, honestly, I've been actually kind of pulling away from social media at least certain parts of the day, because right now social media is so pulled and polarized. Like, I was even getting just annoyed with people. Like, I'm like, what the hell is the matter with people? And so then I had to stop myself, because that's really getting me pulled into this drama, and that's a contract. And I want you to understand, on a very occult, esoteric level, social media can be wonderful. I mean, you can see your grandkids' pictures, your kids' pictures, all of your friends, all that kind of stuff. However, what it also is, there's a bunch of people out there that are literally paid to piss you off, and so they're paid to sit there. And this, of course, is a conspiracy, whatever. And so, but the truth is they're literally paid to piss you off. And if they're not paid to piss you off, they just enjoy doing it. Because I happen to be a internet troll, at least when I was younger, a lot more. And what does that mean? It means that I got off on making comments that I knew was going to set people off because I thought it was funny. And so the truth is that energy of you pulling out and getting angry pulls you out of that state of being balanced. And
Right.
so now, does that mean you can't speak the truth? No, not at all. I mean, that's what you'll speak the truth in power, in an empowered state, and you won't get out of balance. You'll just say, hey, that no. And so, I had a situation with a friend of mine a while ago, a couple of years ago, when they were really, really upset, and they were just in a really bad place, and they pushed my hand away because I was going to grab them to pull them out of a situation that I knew was going to hurt them. And they pushed my hand away, and I just leaned in and said, don't ever do that again. And I pulled them out of the situation because I didn't want them to get arrested, and I didn't want them to be in a bad place. And so And so those are one of those things where I didn't get angry. It was just very grounded and very balanced. And what ended up happening is my voice actually got stronger. And I want you to understand that when you are upset or afraid, yeah, it seems like your voice is very powerful, but people can smell and feel
Yeah,
the vibration of fear.
it's almost a little thin, the
Yeah,
voice. Um, just a creepy thing about me. If I do get angry, it's funny, like if because I try to stay in balance, but people press your buttons or really push you. And one of the things that I noticed was my voice gets softer. If
does it?
you if you really get me to the point where I may I have to really control myself, I will speak softly to you, very
Hmm.
quiet. My voice gets very low. And it's funny because I can see the fear on people's faces. And Jeremy is what are you, 6'5", and I'm like not even 5'3", and I can see the fear on people's faces because they know she's not playing. I wonder if they can sense the energy because I have to pull it down because I'm at that critical level. But the other thing I wonder, you were talking about speaking your truth, and if you don't speak, because I can speak my truth to you, and I know you don't have to agree with me. And I feel like that's okay because it depends on where you're at and it depends on where I'm at. So I'm okay with you not signing on to whatever position I'm coming from. And
Hmm.
that I think is truly being in balance. To know doesn't mean somebody's against you. They're just not there.
Yeah.
You
People
know,
can have a difference of opinion. That's okay.
bingo. Yes.
And it's interesting because I said this years ago. I ordained a bunch of my students, and I said to them, I said, if you have to defend what you believe, then you don't actually believe in it.
Well, it's a little scarier than that. You're way too attached to it and you shouldn't be that
Yeah,
attached.
yeah. And so it's like one of those things where it's kind of like you're and that realization came to me years ago as being a gay male, and uh, and I thought to myself, wait a second, I don't have to. I don't need your acceptance.
Bingo.
I don't need anybody's acceptance. I don't need you to accept me. I don't need you to,
You don't need approval.
I don't need your approval. I just really, actually, I already approve of myself and I already accept me and I'm already very okay with who I am. And so, and that literally, when you get to that level, people, they have no fuel to fire you or to get you fired up. They have no power over you. And it's interesting, like even right now, it's like, people are all upset about stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to cash the check, of course. I mean, it comes in, I'm going to cash the damn check. However, I'm not all bent out of shape of when it's coming, how it's coming, if it's coming. And it's just one of those things. If it
I'm
comes,
right
it
there
comes.
with you. I'm
So
right there with you. I don't have a lot of information about it. If it comes, great. If it doesn't, like either way, it's all good.
yeah,
It's all good. There's no emotional attachment. And someone told me some people are very upset about it. Some people are overly happy about it. But I feel detached. If it comes, great. I don't, you know what I mean? It is, I don't know. I guess to be overly attached to it would mean somebody kind of owns me. If I'm like, oh my God, I need that. And to be pissed off about it, I think it's silly too. Like, I don't know. It's just detachment. It,
and some people would say, well, that's easy for you to say, you have a job. And I'm like, to me, and I'm like, well, in 2008, when the stimulus check came for that, by the way, I didn't get that stimulus check. And, and second of all, I didn't have a job. I went through almost 4 years. I was actually more about 3 years where I would get jobs and I would lose them like literally 2 months later because it was all contract work. And, I did a lot of healing work and readings and whatever it took. I even wrote people's resumes to make a living during that time frame. And so what ended up happening is I learned about the topic I spoke about yesterday, faith. And I also learned a lot of different physical skills in the third dimensional world that I taught myself in order to be able to do what it takes to be able to survive. And so there is just a tremendous amount that happens as a result of the things that have happened. And so, to answer people's questions and say, well, that's easy for you to say, you have a job and you have money and you have income coming in. Well, yes. But the truth is that I'm a freaking hustler. I will go out and do what it takes if it has to, with whatever I have to do. And you have to be willing to do that. You also have to be willing to know that there is faith that things are going to take care of you. I mean, there's just one of those things, and I learned that in the last recession because let me tell you that my friend Damien, who lives next door to me, at that time we lived together, and if we wouldn't have had the things that we had, um, my mother took us grocery shopping once and filled our house with groceries, and there was time, and then I got one month I was teaching like 4 psychic development classes, and I made like $3,000 that month, off of classes and readings and everything else, and so it was just one of those things where in the next month, interestingly enough, something told me to hold on to some money. I made $100 that month for the entire month. And so luckily I did. And there's just one of those things where that faith comes with listening too. There's something in you that you have to pay attention to and listen to. And the universe, like I was saying yesterday on my live feed yesterday, you have to pay attention. The universe is constantly trying to talk to you. And we're just not. But it's not like some like divine like sun coming down and this angel coming down and saying, please listen. It just doesn't always work.
Funny. I mean, think about just the ending of what I love what you're saying today. The ending though is once again the point, because you're right. The information is in us. It's not like, there's a red sign that way. We hear it, the voice, whatever way that you receive. And I think we all have this ability to listen. Now, you were talking about how you learned. For me, when I went through this, it was surrender. That was a big thing that I had to realize, that it's not all about me making something work. Do you know what I mean? Like figuring out the solution. I needed to trust, to have faith, to listen, and surrender. So it's like a recipe. And when you do that, now I am not in the same situation as you are. So had I given in to fear, and I'm not going to say there weren't moments of like, oh my gosh, am I going to make enough money during this time period? Because people are being laid off from work and things like that. So if people don't hire me, I don't make money. A lot of our events, because Jeremy and I travel, right? Sometimes the city, sometimes other states. All of our events, right? All of the events have been canceled. For how long, we don't know. Then the schools have been closed, so that's another supplement. Like I get that from working in the schools, and then substitute teaching, and then I have to rely on people contacting me for work, to give readings. And for the most part, I've been real chill, and yet the universe has supplied me with income. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my needs are met.
I want to put this out there. There's something that a friend of mine taught me years ago, and it's something that I use when I get into those moments of fear. And I say, you don't have to, if you got a big aversion for saying God, you don't have to say God, you can say universe. And basically what you say, God is my supplier, God is my supplier, God is my supplier, God is my supplier. Now, who's God? God's within you. And so that's within you and all around. So that's what I was meaning, that cosmic Christ is all within you. So, and the reason why you do that is because you want to talk to the egoic side, the physical side of yourself that's in fear. And that's that fight or flight part of yourself. And so you have to be able to take that moment and really just be the parent to that fearful inner child for just a moment. And you say, God is my supplier, or the universe is my supplier. And what you're saying is that there's something out here that's going to take care of me. And so, and then you're literally, that's the same thing as I'm putting this in God's hands, or I'm putting this in Spirit's hands, or I'm putting this in the universe's hands. And why are you doing that? Because you sitting there suffering and worrying, even if you didn't believe in all the spiritual aspects of it, really does not do you any good. And so what it's doing, interestingly enough, is that fear actually lowers your immune system. And it keeps you from having a healthy immune system. And so that's something that's really interesting. I just read that a few weeks ago, and I already knew that, but I just wanted to double check. And so when I looked, I was like, oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Fear and anger.
Fear and anger. It lowers your immune systems. It tears down your body, and it blocks the flow of energy that needs to help you become strong and healthy with inside. So, I just thought that was really, really interesting. So.
I think it all plays together. One of the things that I noticed, like when I'm coaching people, when okay, because I'll say what fear is not helping you. You don't feel good. It's not making the situation better, and they want to defend it. It's almost like a disease. You know
Oh
how
yeah,
people be
yeah.
like they want to hold on to their illnesses. Well, people want to hold on to fear. Is what I see, and if that's your choice, that's cool, but do it over there. I'm like, I don't really want you in my space. If you are so in love with fear, do it over there. Again, you have that right, but I also have the right not to do that party with you. But what I noticed over the years, it's like I think of it as a hose, right? A garden hose, and fear will kink things coming to you. It kinks you from being creative, but also from if you want abundance, money. Like people have teased me. I started noticing it in 2016 when I was going through my own crash and burn period, Phoenix from the ashes, and they would say, "Oh, stop! Whenever your supplies start getting low, it's like you turn on a switch, like a electrical switch, and the prosperity comes in." And I keep hearing this woman's words in my head. Whenever my bank account gets a little low, it's like, huh. And then the next thing you know, people start booking. And it really, like, it's pretty much what Virginia says. Like, it really is. I think I self sabotage because I want to do the live broadcast. I want to do my YouTube videos. I don't want to work 24/7 of doing coaching or psychic and mediumship readings. But when supplies get low, it definitely seems like those calls come in. Like, have you noticed that with yourself?
Hmm.
It's
Well,
like,
it's funny you should say that because earlier I got a few bookings and I was just like, wow, and it's just from the video I did yesterday. And so it was just one of those things where, and it's interesting too because I was just sitting there thinking about, um, if you just have fun, you and I have been saying this for a while. I don't want to just have fun. And my friend Carla said to me this years ago, she goes, "You're thinking too hard and you're overthinking this." And then it was funny because Marilyn, remember her from
yes.
yeah, she gave me a reading in Naples a few weeks ago, and she goes, um, she was talking about my relationships, and she says, "You overthink this," and I just laughed, and I was like, I don't know what she's talking about. And so, but the truth is, I'm just being silly. I'm being silly. But yeah, so we overthink things. We like obsess over this because why? We're so attached to it. You're so attached to the outcome, and then of course, boom, things. Once you let go, things come in. Like I was doing this thing last night. I was so deep in, and it's almost like a fluid motion. Like I was so deep in, and I was like, oh wait, what is blocking me from this? And then I would literally, and it always came down to just let go of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Let go of the
It's the
outcome.
attachment that like sabotages.
And so then I was just like, all right, I let it go. And so you'd feel this stuff and all these tentacles and everything of energetic tentacles like literally wrapped up in your energy body, and you just like you'd feel it release. And imagine, imagine some of you guys have so much stress in your body that your back is killing you, your legs are killing you, your arms, your shoulders, and and why? Because you're literally caught up in all this stuff, and it's like these energetic tentacles within inside of you. So, and I think that's fairly interesting. So um, I'm just putting up Daniela's website so everybody
Oh,
can
thank
see it.
you.
So, and
We
I'll be
always
putting,
have fun connecting, though.
yeah, we definitely do. So, and there's mine as well. It's also in the comments, both of our websites. So, I just wanted to pop these up
And
there.
I just want to throw a side note. Every time you leaned in, like to the camera, the light hit you and your shirt and your eye. Yeah.
You mean
I was
like,
like,
so
yeah. I'm
you
like,
weren't looking at
Danny.
my Deadpool shirt?
I love Deadpool, but I love the way it made your eyes look. So I was
Oh,
like,
thanks.
you look very, very good today. I just
Well,
wanted to throw that to you.
it's funny. I went and hung out with Sherry this morning, and we went down to the river and in Newport Richie, and I looked at this house. Most people know I'm looking to buy a house, and I found this really amazing house that you and I both looked at online, and
Gorgeous.
it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And I'll have a third bedroom for a studio, which will be great. And so because I'll own it, I'll be putting up green screens and like stuff for the sound, and I'll be putting back up all my microphones and everything else, which I don't necessarily have up in this office because I rent this place, so I didn't want to mess it up. So, but yeah, it was a cool morning, and I needed to get out of the house because I was, as much as I talk about this, I'm still very much a human being, and I was at the point where I was like, if I don't get out of this house, I'm going to go postal. And so, and then Darian's like, I don't know why everybody saw that. I'm just sitting here playing Animal Crossing because I'm doing my homework and going to work. And I'm like, shut up.
Well, yeah, but that's a big thing. Going to work is getting out of the house for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually working at home, and a lot of people are working at home. But how do you manage that? So like, there's nothing in the stay-at-home order that says you can't go to a park or walk. And honestly, we've been so busy with our other lives. Why not get out and go to a park and get in nature? And I saw a lot of people out with their kids and playing with their kids. And we were actually going to take. Sherry and I were going to go by her kid's house and at least be able to see our grandbabies and look through the window and say hi. And they had already left. They took the kids to the park. There's nothing in that policy that says you can't go. It's just stay, within 6 feet of other people at the park and keep your own family unit. So there's nothing saying that you have to stay in the house. So go out and enjoy yourselves and be with your family and take this time to really just be with people you care about. And that's one of the reasons why I got on the car, and when Sherry and I went and got breakfast, and we sat on a park bench and had breakfast. And so she hadn't been out of the house, but that was, I think, her second or third time in a month since she's been out of the house. Well, sitting at your house is going to make you go crazy. And so,
Well, for me, anytime. Like, you know what I mean? Like to be stuck because I practically live out back,
mhm.
in the backyard. So I absolutely love it. And we've been taking the dogs for a walk. I wish my asthma was a little bit better because you've noticed when I start laughing how it's like a little rattly. But I've been noticing people on bikes with their children, going to the park with their children, walking with their children. I I had a neighbor when we were walking the dogs last night that has never said hello to me. Like a couple of them, like just people are friendlier and more connected, and I love watching them spend time. And one of the things Allie and I do are playing card games at night, watching Ozark. This is the time to get deeply connected with the people that not just with yourself. Yes, that's great, but I'm very grateful to be under the same roof with my children.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is quite beautiful. And I'm hearing how people pet adoption in Europe went up 300%.
Oh, that's awesome. Can I give some shout outs? I want to give some shout outs. Judy,
Yeah.
hi, how are you? Tony, thanks for tuning in. And Patricia, thanks for tuning in. I should have Patricia on one time. You met her back in February at Jason's workshop. She's the one that was famous in Japan for being a teenage singer, like a pop singer.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah,
she was to my right.
she sat right next to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
she's
Tony
really cool.
and Tony was sitting right next to me behind you.
Oh, I
Tony,
know
and,
Tony. Hi,
yeah,
Tony. I know Tony.
and then
Hello, everybody.
and Judy too, because she runs the bookstore at Temple 11 Healing.
That's so cool.
So
So
they're
hello,
all
everyone.
hi everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. So anything you want to talk about before we wrap up? As I know, this lady was on a very long session today helping people, and I know I called her up and I was like, "You want to get on a live feed at 5 o'clock?" And she's like,
I
"Sure."
called you right after I hung up. It was almost 3 hours. It was a long call, but it was great. But I feel like it's really important, as a little bit as sleepy as I was. It's important. And I think when people see that we're okay, we're calm,
Mm,
we're happy, right? We're trying to stay in balance out of fear. We have to lead by example. I can tell you, don't be afraid, Jeremy. You know what I mean? But like you said, you can hear it in my voice. You can hear that I'm in a panic state.
yeah.
You do look really good. You do.
Thanks.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah.
everybody wants to write that in the comments.
No, I mean somebody said that's the second or third time somebody's made a comment about my eyes in the past few days, and I'm like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you
So
just look really amazing. But I think it comes because you are in a different place. Because I think it's all this year. All this year, I've noticed.
I've really been well. All the clearing I've done over the and since especially since even starting in like October, I've been doing a lot of emotional clearing, and so it's been really really amazing in that sense. So
It's very
well,
visible.
thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
So everybody, Daniela's website is obviously here on the screen as well, but I've also put it in the description of the show, and I would definitely check her out. She's a great, great, beautiful soul, and I've never heard anything but wonderful things about readings that she does and coaching sessions that she does, and of course, my website is down there as well, and also up on the screen. So, and as I tell everybody, if you go and sign up for my newsletter, I send you back a free set downloadable 78-minute CD with me and my friend and teacher Virginia Drake talking for about 78 minutes, and it's
Listen,
good.
it's amazing. I've listened to it. Absolutely. It was addicting.
Thank you, thank you. We
You're
it's so funny.
welcome.
It was so funny how we recorded that in 2014, and then I just now started doing something with it. About 8 months
And
ago.
the other thing I would like to throw out there, because sooner or later we will be back out there traveling and doing different events. If you get a chance to hear Jeremy speak, and when a speaking engagement where he really gets up there and goes into his zone, it's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Really, you're welcome. Like, because that's different. I know we have a lot of fun doing this, but when you get in your zone, it's a whole nother experience.
Well, that's the same thing with you because I saw you speak on the cruise, right? And I saw you speak at she so she's at this church and she goes, "I'm a lazy medium." And I need you all just to ask me questions and I'll answer it because I'm not going to sit here and try to. And it was so funny. I died laughing, but she was nailing people like that, and it was good stuff. So
It
we're
really is a matter of laziness because, like, if somebody puts up a wall, I'm like, I'm not going to work that hard. So you could either take your wall down or go find somebody else. Like, I'm not that invested. So I will help people. And like you said, you've seen me, I get the information. But I even did a radio blog show this Monday, and someone said from Brooklyn called up because it's not my show. I was just a guest. And they were like, oh, just whatever comes. And a woman goes, no, no, no. You get one question. Like, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello.
I was on her show a month ago too, and then she goes, "Well, there's only one question, sweetie," and I just died laughing. I was
Yes,
like, oh,
well,
"Okay," and but that happens. That happens. So
I mean, people still got under the radar with tying two questions together that are two questions. But to say whatever comes, that's just open, you know what I mean? Like, give me a reading.
so
But
years
yeah.
years ago, I did this. One of my teachers, her name was Psychic Eileen, and she was on the radio here in Tampa, and she asked me to come and read with her in Ybor City during Guavaween, of all things. So we were sitting in this booth, and if anybody knows Guavaween, it's like basically kind of like the Mardi Gras of Tampa. And so there's like 100,000 people out there. And I had picked this up from my friend Daryl. And this guy, they're coming up, they're drunk and they're high and everything. And then they say, I'll give you $1 for a reading. And so I turned over the card and I said, all right, you're an asshole. That'll be $1, please. And so he didn't care for it too much. I also didn't get the dollar, which I was a little upset about because I needed a bottle of water. But it was really that was just the kind of like night we were having, and so we always deal with like crazy people out there, and it's just one of those things. And so, but when you're living the life that you want to live, that for some reason that just upsets people. So or they feel like they have to make comments about it. So
You know what, though? We don't need the validation.
absolutely, we don't. That's very true. That's very true.
What's my logo?
No more bitches or assholes.
And
I
I
think
live
we're
by that.
I think we're gonna change your website to from Daniela DeCastro to no more bitches and assholes.com.
I agree. I think that's a good idea. I got to get on Jamie about
We
that.
gotta talk to Jamie about hooking you up with that domain name and get that up there.
That's a great domain name. So thank you so much for because when we do this, I feel like I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that you're actually in Europe right now. And then
I'm in my little cottage in England.
here you look. So
I want a tiny home one day. To me, like simple is the way to go.
So I have a friend, and we'll wrap up here in a second. But I have a friend that he's always like, I want to build a tiny home in the backyard, and his wife was like, we are not building a tiny home in the backyard. Well, it'd be really the coolest man cave.
There's something about simplicity though, because I think the more we bite off, you know what I mean, like a huge space. I've had both. I've had 1,600 square feet, or even really after that smaller, and up to like almost 3,000. And honestly, I felt it was cavernous to me. High ceilings. It never felt right. I'm just one of those people, cozy, but I think better with less clutter.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us do, maybe not all, but I think a lot of us, less is more.
Less is more. Absolutely.
But we're taught to be consumers.
We definitely are that. So there's a lot. Well, that's a whole other conversation for another show. But that's something.
Materialism. We got to do that one.
Materialism.
All right. Thank you
All
so much,
right.
love.
All right, guys. Much love, and we will talk soon.
Thank
And
you for
I'll real quick. I will be on the Masters Octave Facebook page at 7:30 on Tuesday, and so if you want to check it out, just look up the Masters Octave, and so you'll be able to tune in. I'll be on with 5 other spiritual teachers on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern time. So thank you so much. Peace.
Awesome. Bye bye.
That was so.